However, here's the recent extensive rejection of Trump that we've witnessed. Apart from using military force to procure Greenland, what is your perspective? How do you react to such a declaration? And how would you behave if Mr. Trump took such a step? What actions will you take?
As I understand it, there is already. What specific initiatives will be involved immediately after Donald Trump's inauguration? Initiatives. At least that's what I saw about the start of negotiations with Denmark about the purchase of Greenland. Simultaneously, we hear statements being made. The Prime Minister of Greenland, who shares a distinctive relationship with Copenhagen, expresses that Greenlanders do not wish to be Danes or Americans. They prefer to remain Greenlanders around Greenland's unique political framework with Copenhagen. I believe it is crucial to prioritize the voices of the Greenlanders. Just like we are. Sharing boundaries with other islands, peninsulas, and lands. The residents of Crimea took the time to listen to the residents of Donbass. Residents of Novorossiya sought to understand their relationships better. To the regime that came to power through an illegal coup d'état and which was not accepted by the residents of Crimea, Novorossiya, and Donbass. This is in line with what I said at the beginning. The right of nations to self-determination. In situations where the nation is a part of a larger state, the larger state feels uncomfortable and wishes to self-determine according to the joint UN declaration. A large state is obligated not to oppose or hinder this process. Not in the manner the Spaniards dealt with Catalonia, nor how they handle situations in Scotland. If the circumstances permit. Nation. As part of another state, the same desire is the same. Expressing the intention to exercise the right to speak. An international law. I would like to say once again how it is enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations and in the Declaration of the General Assembly.
Rather, everyone must respect the territorial integrity of the state.
Whose governments represent the entire population living in the relevant territory. If Greenland believes that Copenhagen does not represent its interests with the interests of its population, then perhaps the right to self-determination comes into play. Just like having the right to self-determination. It was the international legal basis for the decolonization process. In the 60s and 70s, when African peoples, indigenous African peoples, realized that those colonizers who ruled them are of no interest to them. They are not of interest to this population when the right of a nation to self-determination enshrined in the UN Charter was for the first time implemented on a large scale in full conformity with the Charter. Like I said, but not until the end of today. The 17 non-self-governing territories remain in the world. There is a special committee, the so-called Decolonization Committee of the General Assembly, which meets annually, reaffirms the need to bring the decolonization process to an end, including numerous resolutions have been adopted on the issue. About the island of Mayotte, which the French do not want to give, contrary to UN decisions, to the state of the Comoros. There are also issues of the decolonization of Mauritius and many others. I said only 17 territories that are not self-governing, and yet. The right of nations to self-determination exists only in the framework of decolonization. It is the internationally recognized completion of this process. Having in mind the 17 non-self-governing territories, and of course, the right to self-determination, lies at the heart of those decisions that the residents of Crimea took 14 years, and residents, Novorossiya and Donbass in 2022.